So let's go ahead and get that started. Welcome everybody. If you're joining us from YouTube, my name is Luke. Currently playing some green, black, rock, and modern. Let's go ahead and take a look at the list here before we get started. So pretty standard green, black, rock list. Some of the things that you may note that are a little different is the absence of surgical extractions. That's because I do not have them. They're currently about 27 tickets, so in their place we're going to be playing Nile Spellbomb and Grafdigger's Cage. Another thing that you might note here is the 4 Plague Engineers in the sideboard. I found this to be an incredibly impactful card in many different matchups. And I've really enjoyed having access to 4 of them in my 75. So let's go ahead and get started with some modern tournament practice. Okay, immediately we note here that we get to be on the play. It's a big advantage in any constructed format. Oh boy. Okay, so here we have a tap land that we can play immediately. We've got a removal, piece of hand disruption, what have you. And we've got a threat, so not great, but I think we're going to go ahead and keep it. Given that we have 2 untapped black sources, I'm going to lead with the Treetop Village as opposed to the Hissing Quagmire. So we start off Horizon Canopy, hopefully have a decent opportunity to use this Collective Brutality. And I think that's what we're going to do. Hopefully we can slow down our opponent by removing their Birds of Paradise. Sometimes you can often get your opponents in a pretty sticky situation by removing their turn 1 acceleration. Sometimes they get a little bit greedy and keep a single land off the back of a Birds of Paradise. Now what is this? Sapseed Forest. 2 more green permanents. Okay. Alright, well, we draw a Dark Confidant, so I'd like to take the opportunity to play a tapped land and run out this Dark Confidant. Let's see what our opponent has. Courser of Crewfix, so it looks like we're probably going to be against some sort of green-white Value Town style deck. I'd like to get rid of that right away with this Liliana. As much as I want to play the Tireless Tracker and get value out of it, it doesn't look like we're going to be too concerned about that. So I just want to get this 2-4 out of the way and get the pressure going with this Dark Confidant. So we're going to take this opportunity to play a tapped shock land. Get in there with the Dark Confidant. Important to note that our opponent does have a Path to Exile on top of their library. And they've got another Courser of Crewfix. So here we're going to be able to Assassin's Trophy and play the Tireless Tracker. If they like, collect or Kitchen Finks. So if they decide they want to search their library for land, we are going to shuffle away their Kitchen Finks. Let's play the Tireless Tracker, that way we can make sure we get our clue token out of it. Play the Forest. Let's go ahead and activate this Liliana. I don't particularly want this Field of Ruin. We just have so much in our hand to appreciate. Our opponent ditches an Acidic Slime. Let's get this Courser out of the way. Not a lot of 2-mana removal spells in white and green that are going to deal with what we're doing, so I'm more than happy to make them shuffle away that Kitchen Finks and accelerate them so we can continue to hit him with this Dark Confidant here. Path to Exile on our Tireless Tracker. Wow. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and get our lands. Opponent's got 5 lands. We've got considerably more at 1. Maybe not considerable, but it certainly feels like a large amount. What do they got? Linvala. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's read this real quick. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Well, guess what? Liliana, decidedly not a creature. So, what is that? Linvala, Keeper of Silence, definitely not Sigarda, Host of Herons. All right, let's see here. So let's go ahead. I think we want to get in with... Let's play the Field of Ruin. I think we want to activate our Treetop Village. So this will let us get in for 5. So let's go ahead and nail down this here Tarmogoyf, which is a 6/7. So this leaves us with the option to either crack a clue token or use the Abrupt Decay should we need it. So opponent's at 6 life. I feel like we're in a really good position to... We can either double activate both of our man lands and attack with everything. We can attack with Tarmogoyf. I mean, we pretty much have this. Yep, there we go. Got that game loaded down. Okay, so what were some of the things that we saw? We saw Linvala, Courser of Crufix, Birds of Paradise. One thing I'd like to bring in is this Liliana's Triumph. I'd also like to bring in this Liliana. That'll be a nice way of protecting cards against things like 2 power attackers. This will help kill a Kitchen Finks that has been persisted. So they don't have any artifacts, so we don't want the Collector Roof. Fulminator Mage is always a consideration. Collective Brutality doesn't seem like it kills much. Plague Engineer does a good job of trading with a lot of their stuff. One thing I'm not a fan of on the draw, and in any mid-range matchup for that matter, is going to be these Inquisitions. They're just terrible, terrible, terrible late-game top decks when resources are running low. We just want to increase our threat density to overload our opponent's removal. What else do we have that we're not a big fan of? I usually like to trim 1 Liliana on the draw, so we're left with 6 slots. Let's see, Fatal Push. We can Revolt Fatal Push to kill a lot of their stuff with our fetch lands. Fulminator Mage will probably help us do that as well. Helps get rid of their lands, kills Horizon Canopies, chokes them on resources. I think we want the Plague Engineers here. We can name Bird to just kill their guy or their bird for free. If they have Noble Hierarch, we can kill that for free. Not only that, but it's a 2/2 Death Toucher. So that's how I'd like to sideboard there. What do we got here? So we have 2 untapped lands. We've got threats. Not great. It'd be nice to have some interaction, but you know, Liliana is a form of interaction. Scavenging Ooze can be a really excellent threat in these, you know, creature-heavy mid-range matchups. There we have a Fatal Push, so let's hope that our opponent has something for us to Fatal Push to make sure we take advantage of our mana. Maybe they have a Dryad Arbor. That would be really something. If not, that's totally fine. Let's go ahead and play our Blooming Marsh here and run out this Scavenging Ooze so that we can get a threat going. It's always nice to establish the first threat in any kind of mid-range mirror, especially against a Path to Exile deck, where you can catch up on lands if you're on the draw. Yes, Path to Exile is a great mana-efficient spell. However, you know, it does accelerate you on lands, which is not where you want to be at if you are behind on lands already. Sorry for that pause. And I think because they're so behind on lands, what I'm going to do is play this Fulminator Mage and immediately take them down to 1 land. Let's go ahead and kill this land. And having a Fulminator Mage in the graveyard gives us something to Ooh, Veil of Summer. That's a pretty serious blowout. That's not what I expected. Alright, well, they got us. If we had elected to go for the Liliana, that would have been an issue, but I think the opportunity to put our opponent on 2 or 1 land is just too great. Okay, so let's go ahead and just attack here. See what our opponent has. Doesn't look like they have much. So let's get this Tireless Tracker down. And we're not going to sack it right away. We want to be able to revolt the Fatal Push if need be, and if they try to kill our Tireless Tracker, we'll go ahead and fetch. Corsair Crewfix. So they're going to get to play their Gavany Township. So because we have the Scavenging Ooze, I'm going to go for an Overgrown Tomb here. They might path to exile our Tireless Tracker. If they have a Veil of Summer, oh well. It's a sideboard card. How many of them could they have? If they have it, they have it. Yep, there you go. So we just got double Cryptic Command, which feels pretty bad. That being said, we're going to get to... Actually, do we want a Field of Ruin here? I think we do. Let's see, what can we do here? It's very tempting to... You know what, Scavenging Ooze can deal with the Kitchen Finks. Just go ahead and attack. We're kind of priced into activating the Scavenging Ooze if they choose to block the Ooze with their Courser, which is fine. So here I'm going to go for Scavenging Ooze. I think I'm going to go ahead and go for the Dark Confidant as well. So we've just got a ton of threats. Spike Feeder is pretty good with Archangel of Thune. However, they don't have enough mana to cast Archangel of Thune, and if they just go with the Spike Feeder, then I think we're in pretty good shape here. So we'll see. If they choose to play out the Kitchen Finks, we'll just eat it with a Scavenging Ooze once it dies. Eldritch Evolution. So +2. So here they'll probably get the Archangel of Thune is my guess. They can't quite play the Spike Feeder. What? Okay. Let's see what we get here. What are the options? I think we definitely need to run out this Liliana and force them to get rid of something. We do have plenty of attackers here. So what else do we have? We're going to have to concede a couple creatures here, but we have such a tremendous number of threats here. I mean, we're going to put our opponent to a minimum of 4. I would imagine they probably block the Scavenging Ooze. Yep. So here's the question. Do we want to crack a clue token? I think we do. Get us an extra point of damage and an additional card. That life drain may end up being super relevant. I mean, that puts them to virtual 1. So they can play a Spike Feeder. They can play... If they can gain life... Kitchen Finks, okay. They have a way to get rid of it. They have a Spike Feeder. Yikes. Eldritch Evolution, possibly an additional horse out. And that's going to be pretty difficult to beat. I don't think we can beat that. Yikes. What do we got? So they have 4 blockers. I think we're going to go ahead and start by discarding. We're going to discard the Plague Engineer so we can get it back with an Earth and get rid of the Kitchen Finks to put them down on blockers. Let's get back our Kitchen Finks. Let's go. What is Kitchen Finks? It's an oof. Let's go ahead and take that out right away. What are our other options? We've got 3 green sources. This is a tough one. It's not freeze up though. Okay, so our opponent's at 6. If we can hit them for 4 damage this turn, we can kill them with Collective Brutality. Is there a way to do that? We can't get the Tireless Tracker out of horse range. They are indestructible. We're also at a pretty precarious life total. Let's see, we want to be able to chump block 3 things. Just don't see it right now. I think the best thing we can do is just gain life with the Scavenging Ooze. The Plague Engineer prevents them from attacking with their indestructible horse. So they have 1, 2, 3 creatures we can eat. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern here, but so are they. Kitchen Finks. Ouch. So what can we do? Let's sacrifice a clue token here. Doesn't change our ability to use green mana. And then we can Fatal Push it. Then eat it. So before it returns, we're going to eat it so they don't gain additional life. It's kind of a tough matchup. I haven't really seen this horse before. Once they get their little horse engine online. Path to exile the Plague Engineer. That sucks. What do we do about that? Nothing, I guess. Let's get a green source. So that's going to die. We're going to eat that. Gain some life. Unfortunately, we have to chump block with everything to not die. That's kind of shitty. That's okay. Yeah, it's pretty likely that we may not end up being able to take this one down. Hopefully our opponent sees that they can just attack us with everything. What? Okay. Let's just go ahead and block with the Dark Confidant so we don't lose any more life. We're going to go to 3. Oh, they just get 1,000,000 tokens. I forgot about that. Man. If only we had Toxic Deluge. That'd be a really nice way to clean this one up. Although we wouldn't be able to pay the life, so I guess it doesn't matter. And I don't think we're going to be able to get this one. So, good game, opponent. We'll go to game number 3. On the play, I'd like to bring an extra Liliana in. Fulminator Mage seems a little bit slow. Kind of want the hand disruption now. We'll bring in the Thought Seizes because they can hit the horses if they happen to have them. Or a Thought Seize, I guess. Well, that's kind of... There's no point in having one Thought Seize. Nile Spellbomb seems like it could be pretty decent to get rid of those Kitchen Finks. Let's go ahead and be on the play. And hopefully we have a good hand. That seems like a pretty good hand to me. Two removal spells, 2 threats, 3 lands. It's a pretty good hand. The question is, do we want to shock in this Overgrown Tomb right away? If they have Birds of Paradise, I'll probably be thankful that I did. I mean, our opponent is attacking us in multiples of 5. So I mean, I guess 2 life isn't going to make a tremendous amount of difference, although they do have a lot of 3 power guys. There's the bird, so we called it. Let's just push this right away. I don't want to accidentally skip through my turn. There's a swamp. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll that swamp down. Get down this Tarmogoyf. And we can start battling. Hopefully we can just clock our opponent pretty thoroughly. Oh man, are they stuck on land? I'm still going to run down this Plague Engineer. And I'm going to name Human. Alright. Feels good to get some free value out of the Plague Engineer. Ooh, when they miss their land drop. Against these mid-range mirrors, I mean, you really, really, really just want to go for their creature acceleration as hard as you can. Whoever has the most mana is usually at a pretty distinct advantage in most games of Magic the Gathering. And if you're able to get down enough threats, it's difficult for an opponent to try to deal with those with few mana sources. Sometimes they just get so behind. They have Corsair Crufix, Kitchen Finks. I'm going to wait to deal with that until I can kill it and then do my Scavenging Ooze thing. Unearth. That's not helping us out a whole lot right now. I'm going to go ahead and Abrupt Decay this. And before it has an opportunity to come back, let's go ahead and snag that with the Ooze. So now we get to hit our opponent for 8. And I think this game is probably going to end up going to us. Let's not be too premature here, because obviously things do happen. They could play land Wrath of God. You know, they could have Settle the Wreckage. The Corsair Crufix. Unfortunately, that's just not going to get it done for them. I mean, they're dead. Even with that. So here they're just hoping to survive a turn. Maybe they have Path to Exile. There we go. Took it down. So against a green-white Eldritch mid-range horse, we were able to get that done with the rock. Let's take a look at our deck list real quick while we're waiting for an opponent. Again, rock is pretty standard. I've got the 2-man lands, like Treetop Village a lot, even though it's an untapped, or excuse me, it's a tapped green source, which is pretty poor if we're relying on that with a hand disruption spell on turn 1, like Inquisition or Thoughtseize. It's just a great threat. You know, a 3/3 trample for 2, great rate. We've also got the Hissing Quagmire, not as efficient as Treetop Village, but it does tap for black as well, and the Death Touch is a nice touch. So looks like we got our match. We are on the play. Wow. So we've got 3 lands, we've got some early interaction, and we've got 2 threats between Dark Confidant and Liliana. So this is pretty much the hand that you want to see as often as possible with the green-black rock. I could have played in the Overgrown Tomb tapped to save myself some life there. However, I want to hold up the Blooming Marsh in the event that we want a fatal push. So let's go ahead and get this Dark Confidant down and hope that we can fill our hand up. Play Liliana next turn for our plan. Got some more green-white. What do we got here? Steward of Valoron. This is not a card that I've seen in Modern before. So 2/2 Vigilance. You can add a green mana. So what we're going to do is we're going to fetch. Come on, opponent. There we go. Let's get a swamp since we have so many black sources in our hand. We're going to play Liliana, make them sacrifice, and we're going to get in there with our Dark Confidant. So I don't have a tremendous clock, but given that we're against a green-white deck with cards such as Steward of Valeron, 4 removal spells is going to get us there. Ouch. Opponent with nothing to play. Hopefully we can draw a Tarmogoyf or a Tireless Tracker, one of our threats. Nope. So we're going to start out here by discarding. See what we can get out of our opponent's hand. Let's see, given that we have some 2 and 3 mana spells, I think we'd like to continue to hit our land drops. However, we do have Dark Confidant, which could help us. I think 2 Dark Confidant might be a little too much. Let's ditch this Blooming Marsh. And see what our opponent discards. Yikes. Wilt Leaf Liege. Okay, well thankfully we do have a Maelstrom Pulse to deal with that. So that sucks. That's probably one of the first things we're going to do is take these Lilianas out. Selesnya Charm, okay. So probably green-white, so they can take advantage of the Wilt Leaf Liege. I'm not sure how good Selesnya Charm is, but I mean it's there. Maybe they'll animate the Stirring Wildwood and we can Fatal Push it. That'd be kind of a nice scenario there. I mean, it'd be their opportunity to get rid of Liliana. We are going to elect to Fatal Push the Stirring Wildwood here. Just anytime I have the chance to Fatal Push a man land, I'm going to take it. It's just a Stone Rain for 1 mana. Give us another threat. There's a Tireless Tracker. And we are just drawing all the Fatal Pushes. Let's go ahead and push their token right away. I mean, sequencing isn't really that important. Normally I would wait until the latest possible moment to cast our sorcery speed things like lands and Tireless Trackers. But just for the sake of speed, I went ahead and played those main phase, or first main phase. So we've got 2 pieces of removal spell, or 2 pieces of removal, so good chance we're going to be able to clear out whatever our opponent is doing to make sure that we keep applying this pressure. So probably another mid-range mirror is how I would treat this going to sideboard. Given that we're going to be, I guess we don't know if we're going to be on play or draw, but let's assume that we win, and if we do, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of these Lilianas. Liliana is already not real great on the draw, but with the presence of things like Wilt Leaf Liege, I really don't want to have to 2-for-1 myself with Liliana. Wow, no play. So perhaps a Selesnya Charm in our future. There we go, Tarmogoyf. Draw step, the Tireless Tracker, sure. Let's go ahead and get a forest. And we're we're just drawing as many Dark Confidants as you can. Let's see, adding another Dark Confidant is not going to increase the pace of the clock. And if they put down something I can't Fatal Push, I'd like to be able to Assassin's Trophy it. That's pretty annoying. I don't know why you would play Selesnya Charm. I mean, it's pretty good against Hogak, which I guess is a huge problem in Modern right now. I mean, at worst is a 2/2 Vigilance for 2. What is this card? When it attacks, it gets +1/+1 for each untapped. Great. Let's go ahead and Fatal Push that. Hopefully we can get a threat going here, because I really don't feel like dying to my own Dark Confidant. Ooh. Let's go ahead and Inquisition right away. See if we can get our opponent's last card. It is a plane, so while it feels crappy, we know that we get to get this Hex Drinker down. And I just want to give this protection from Essence right away. Not only that, but we can make it a 6/6 next turn. Protection from everything. So right now, they don't have a lot of ways of dealing with this. There's their land that they shock in, despite the fact that they had a plains, and they concede. Okay. So let's see. Liliana. Those have got to go. Let's see. Collective Brutality seems like it would kill a lot. Liliana's Triumph is going to be a good way to nab things. Let's see. Definitely like Liliana the Last Hope and the mirrors. Let's see, Thought Seizes are not going to be... When I say mirror, I mean like a mid-range mirror, not rock. Obviously, we're not playing against rock. So we get all of our Plague Engineers. I mean, maybe one Liliana is good. And we can bring in our Fulminators to really mess with their mana base. Everything else seems pretty good. Dark Confidant's nice. Although I would... maybe we need to trim the Dark Confidant, although we can block with it if we would like. Maybe it's wrong to take out this many Lilianas. I mean, it still is a sacred or an edict effect. Let's take out a Dark Confidant. I mean, I don't have to plus it if I suspect that they have something in hand, like the Wilt Leaf Liege. I mean, it is another removal spell, so... This seems fine. I mean, 1, 2, 3. Dauntless Bodyguard, sure. I think I'll trade for that right away. Oh, we got Tarmogoyf, which is one of our more premium threats. Scavenging Ooze will be really nice, so given the fact that we have the Scavenging Ooze, I'm most definitely going to be trading off this Hex Drinker. So we're going to have a little Savannah Lion fight here with these 2/1s. Hopefully they don't have another Dauntless Bodyguard. Yep, more than happy to trade with you. I think we're going to play the... Ooh, that's kind of nice. I think I'll play my Tarmogoyf. I don't have to block with it, and next turn I can use the Liliana to prevent that from hurting me too badly. They will get to cast a 4-mana spell, which... Rest in Peace? That's not very good against us. I mean, sure, you're giving me a 0/1 Tarmogoyf, but mean, bringing in Rest in Peace for the sake of it's just not very good. Please do not bring in Rest in Peace against these kind of decks. And they're just playing a bunch of 2/2s, which doesn't frighten me all that much. Unfortunately, we're going to be playing a 2/2 here, but Liliana is going to give us the opportunity to make this 2/2 a little bit better. Make it 2/2? Sure. I probably would have attacked. I guess they get to make that a 3/3. Some removal spells would be nice. Or not. I think we'll play out the Fulminator here. That way we can block his 3/3 and blow up his Wildwood. I'm not trading away my Scavenging Ooze. Or at least I won't be attacking with it. Not until I have the opportunity to shrink something with a Liliana. So we have an equal number of lands, I have more threats, and I've got the same amount of cards in hand. So, although 0/1 Tarmogoyf, not a threat. Second, Rest in Peace. Totally fine with that. Second, Rest in Peace is not better than the first. So let's go ahead and do a little blockaroo. Blow up your Wildwood. Get an Overgrown Tomb. Come on, opponent, let us have our Overgrown Tomb. Yeah, I'm totally not worried about these Rest in Peace. They're so marginal against us. I mean, yes, it shuts off our Scavenging Ooze. Yes, it shrinks our Tarmogoyfs down to a 0/1, but oh, here we go. So let's see. Let's go ahead and play a Liliana. We're going to shrink this. That way we can attack with our Scavenging Ooze, and then we'll just Assassin's Trophy that next turn. Let's see what they want to do. Maybe I should save the Assassin's Trophy for something a little more intimidating than the not Vine Paladin. Path to Exile or Tarmogoyf. You got it. I will take the land. We'll go for a forest here. Scavenging Ooze isn't doing anything right now, but you know, I just want the forest. Is this a knight? Well, guess what? You can have a land. First time I've seen Knight Exemplar in Modern. Really cool card. It has first strike, so it's going to be pretty good against our Scavenging Ooze. Removal spell would be really good here. Tarmogoyf, not quite what we were hoping for. Let's go ahead and crack this Nurturing Peatland. See what we can find. Hopefully not a land. 2 Tarmogoyfs. Okay. So I think here I'm going to shrink the Night Exemplar so that we can, it allows them to only attack with 1 creature. And I'm more than happy to throw away the 0/1 Tarmogoyfs right now. If they get another Night Exemplar, we're in big trouble. I could even let him hit the Liliana. However, I'd much rather allow her to continue to grow towards the ultimate there. Our opponent's going to struggle greatly with this ultimate. Fatal Push. This just works out great for us. So shrink that. I think I want to get him on the upkeep. I don't want them to draw anything. I'd rather just get rid of that. That way we can revolt this Fatal Push, kill the Night Exemplar, leave them with a 1/2. Yes, normally I would like to Field of Ruin on the draw step. That way if they end up drawing their basic, then we can potentially screw them out of a land drop with the Field of Ruin. However, like I said, I'd rather avoid some weird scenario. So we got an equal number of lands. I've got the Liliana, which is going to continue to move towards the ultimate, and as soon as we get the chance, we're going to fire off that ultimate. Ooh, Plague Engineer. So we want to go for the Liliana first. What is this, a knight? Okay. They can't Path to Exile to prevent us from killing their token. So Plague Engineer is going to be really good against their other knights. I mean, they can't mana tithe us here. So we get to clean up their guy. Get to start pecking away with this Scavenging Ooze. Now we have 2 threats that can actually deal damage to our opponent. Path to Exile, Plague Engineer. Sure. Let's see. Well, go for the forest just to even up the mana sources we have. It really doesn't matter with Rest in Peace in the graveyard. Okay, so they are 2 turns away from a Liliana ultimate. So I think this Liliana ultimate is going to give us nice top decking. We'll just give our opponent the thank you. If they want to be salty about it, then that's their prerogative. We've seen 3 more cards than them, so the likelihood that we have answers. Really need the power part of my deck, and it's not showing. I try to not call the opponents out on their saltiness. Sometimes people get frustrated and just need to vent. So we got two planeswalkers here. Liliana not doing much on the first turn it comes down. However, it can double edict thanks to the opportunity we've been given here to plus it right away with no consequence. So we can edict and get, there we go. So we took it down there. Let's go for another one. So that was a win against, pardon the breath blasting into the microphone. Let's see. Wrong format and not enough life. Wrong format, not enough life. I assume you're referring to Commander. Wow, we got the triple discard. I mean, I guess we're going to keep this. We're very interactive. I mean, turn 1 discard 2, or turn 2 discard is going to cripple a lot of opponents. Sliver Hive, so I'm happy to have kept this against Slivers. We can always discard removal spell. You know, we're going to turn 1 discard right away. Mana Weft Sliver. So I think I'm going to take, wow, first Sliver. Good luck with that. I'm going to go ahead and take away their only other play that they can make. Cloud Shredder Sliver. Pretty good card. Did they end up? Yeah, always have it. Holy crap. Let's go for an Overgrown Tomb here. Let's see. What'd they get? Oh, I guess we already know what they have. Let's go ahead and take away the Mana Weft Sliver right away. And no need to Fatal Push right now. Let's take a look here. So they drew a Forest, so I guess we made the right play in taking away the Mana Weft Sliver. I usually try to get away their ability to mana fix, especially when I see shit like the first Sliver. Here we're going to Fatal Push the Gale Rider, because most of our threats are going to be bigger than a 1/1, and I'd rather them not be, or have the option to... Alright, we hit land number 3, so the question is, do we Maelstrom Pulse here? They've got 2 cards in hand. I guess we could just leave them completely stranded, which I'm okay with. I mean, we are going to lose quite a bit of life. There you go. Took it down. So, for those of you who are familiar with Green-Black Rock, you will recognize this fella right here. Plague Engineer. Now, this card is good against decks that are non-tribal. And when I see X1 tribal decks that have cards like Mana Weft Sliver, and Striking Sliver, and Gale Rider Sliver, I just immediately want to bring this in as fast as possible. So, very happy to have Plague Engineer. Again, Liliana is nice against X1s. We just want all the removal spells we can get here. So we're bringing in 7 cards. I'm going to take out the discard spells. Maybe Dark Confidant is a no, but it can always trade off against things. If they have a Striking Sliver, it's not as good, but They don't always have it, and although Fulminator Mage could be something I want, maybe not all three. I mean, being able to cut off their colors is pretty important. So Dark Confidant is kind of playing with our life total, and Liliana is not as good on the draw, so we're going to go for as much removal as we can fit. We're going to take out the hand disruption pieces, one Liliana, one Dark Confidant, bring in two Fulminator, a Liliana's Triumph, all four of our Plague Engineers, which is just going to massacre our opponent in this, and we've got Liliana the Last Hope, and another Collective Brutality, which can gain us some life and pick off one of their slivers. Okay, so we have triple Blooming Marsh, so we've got a really painless mana base. We've got some interaction, we've got two threats. I'm hoping that we can draw some cheaper removal spells that don't accelerate as well as fix our opponent's mana. I mean, I can't imagine they have too many basics, but we saw a forest, so their basic is going to help them with their mana fixing through Mana Whiff Sliver. Hopefully we don't see a turn one sliver here. Poisonous 1. For that reason, I'm going to get the Tarmogoyf out right away. Playing all three Brewing Marshes in a row is nice, but if we can just brick this guy right away, that's also going to be pretty nice. I don't know why I did that right now. No, I feel like an idiot. I should have just played the Hissing Quagmire. Oh well, what are you going to do? Sometimes you make mistakes. Diffusion Sliver. I'm okay with that. I'm not really okay with it, but we have guys that are bigger, so... So Poisonous is a little bit different than Infect. With Poisonous, it still deals the damage to you, and you get the poison counter. So in this kind of a deck, Poisonous is a little bit better than Infect. Here I'm hoping to dodge any of their lords, and I'm hoping to dodge a Dismember. I'm sure they have a lord right away. Oh, maybe not. Well, maybe they do have it. Oh, yikes. They got another guy to play? Jesus Christ. Well, at least we have 1,500 lands to discard to that. We're going to go to 3 poison counters now. We've got a ton of haste, so they could put us potentially at 9 or 10 poison counters if they have a 1-drop and a 2-mana spell next turn. Yeah, this is just not going to do it for us. Yikes. We can't block anything, so we may as well just start attacking. I'm going to play the Hissing Quagmire and get down Dark Confidant, hoping to draw something. I mean, if we draw a Plague Engineer next turn, it's just completely over for them. I'm really hoping we can get the Plague Engineer, so that's one of the reasons I prioritize Dark Confidant over the Tireless Tracker. It just represents 1 less damage, but when we're in this kind of a position... Oh, please don't have it. What does he have, the first sliver? I don't think that card is real good. Oh, it is 7... Oh, shit. That is flying. Okay, you got us. Good game, opponent. That's kind of cool, so... Not something I've seen, so maybe we should let our opponent know that we thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. On the play, the Fulminator Mages are a little bit better. but I like Liliana a lot, so I'd rather see that in. Let's go ahead and be on the play here. And we got a Plague Engineer, but unfortunately we have no castable spells for a while, so let's mulligan this. And we got another Plague Engineer. So we got Removal Spell, Plague Engineer. I think we're going to throw back the Fulminator Mage. Just doing a bit of chatting here in the chat window with our opponent, so obviously we're kind of impressed by the first sliver. I didn't expect to see that. So you just hold them nice. They respond with thanks. They've been tinkering a little bit, so kind of cool to see Bruise. Hopefully our opponent plays something that we can kill with the Collective Brutality. I'm more than happy to kill that with Collective Brutality. And I'm really, really, really hoping that we can get a land here, because once we land this Plague Engineer, our opponent's going to struggle quite a bit. So hopefully we can top deck anything but Treetop Village, Forest, and Hissing Quagmire. So we have 3 lands out of 23 that we don't want to draw. We're already missing that, so we've got 18 lands left in our deck that'll let us play. So hoping for that that untapped black source. Be good to us. Come on. Fuck. That's okay. Scavenging Ooze isn't bad. We can gain a lot of life with it. So gives us a threat, allows us to gain some life, buy some time while we wait for this Plague Engineer, because once we drop this Plague Engineer, it's just going to be over for our opponents. Oh boy. Yeah, come on, give us that land. Give us that land. Shit. Alright, we got the Dark Confidant, so we're going to get to see some additional things here. Feels so bad to get stuck on lands, but it happens sometimes. So we're going to go to another Mana Wisp over here. Holy cow. Yeah, this Plague Engineer is just going to be a 5 for 1. 5 for 0, actually. We are not going to block that. We need this Dark Confidant. I mean, it gets around Diffusion Sliver. Come on, baby. There we go. And we just cannot slam this Plague Engineer fast enough. Are we going to get a 4 for 0? GG. Yeah, there's the power of Plague Engineer. Come down, kill 4 of your guys for free. Man. Well, there you have it, folks. If you want to win games in Modern, all you got to do is cast Plague Engineer, and your opponents will concede. So there's a game against Sliver. So far, if you're just joining us, we're playing some Modern Green-Black Rock. We have played against 4-color Mill. That was everything except red. Oh, let's see. Are we on the draw or are we on the play? As much as I would like to keep this, I mean, we have to draw a green source, really, for this to be an effective hand. However, we do have 2 pieces of hand disruption and a removal spell. But, you know, if we don't draw land, we're just screwed. So we're going to mulligan that. And we were rewarded. I think I'm going to ditch the Treetop Village here. get off our hand disruption. Let me continue my thought. So we played against 4-color mill, which was, of course, everything. Oh, geez. Let's go ahead and take that expedition map. Double worm coil is pretty serious. So now we get to play against a tier 1 deck that we struggle with a little bit. So we played against 4-color mill. I never saw what they were playing white for, but they were splashing green for Assassin's Trophy. So we beat them in 3 games. Then we played against Mono Red Phoenix. We beat them in 2 games. Let's see, what else have we played against? So let's see. Don't remember the other one. We played against a green-white mid-range deck. And then we played against 5-color slivers with the first sliver, which is a pretty cool brew. Now we're playing against Tron, so Tron should be an interesting matchup for us. We're going to land this Tarmogoyf as fast as we possibly can. So the reason I took the Expedition map over the Chromatic Sphere, they already had green through a forest, so I wasn't concerned about cutting them off of that. And they just have a tendency to draw their Tron lands, so I was more than happy to... waiting for me to respond? No, I don't think they are. That's kind of weird. So I'm more than happy to cut them off the ability to access this worm coil engine that they've got. They reveal another Urza's Mine. Why? Let's see. I don't know why they would do that. Oh well, let's go ahead and attack here. Kind of scares me when I see my opponents getting multiple copies of or getting redundant copies of Tron lands. If we draw a Liliana, we may actually be able to win through, well, at least fight through some of these worm coil engines for the time being. So they're not going to be playing their, what'd they get here? Ancient Stirrings. They're not going to be playing the worm coil engine this turn, which is nice. And if they spin their wheels for a little while, we'll probably get to just clock the crap out of them with the Tarmogoyf. There's that forest. They've got Karn, and we're just drawing as many fatal pushes as you could possibly imagine. Gonna attack our opponent down to 13, and I guess we're just hoping to fade a Tron land. They've spent 2 Ancient Stirrings, they've spent an Expedition map, already spent 2 of their eggs. I mean, they could always just draw the other one naturally, which is not that far-fetched. You know, I see a lot of people complaining about Tron, top-decking their Tron lands, but, you know, they get to look at a lot of different cards, and it's not that unusual to draw something that's a 4 of in your deck. Let's keep bashing our opponent. So here they're just kind of threat flooded. Wonder what the other 2 cards are. Let's get down this Dark Confidant. And we are going to crack the Nurturing Peatland next turn if they don't have a threat, so that we can put our Tarmogoyf at 3 power and then attack them for 8. So let's see it. What you got? Sylvan Scrying. Okay. There's that tower. I would imagine they probably play a worm coil engine. In which case, we'd really like to see a Liliana. Or a Maelstrom Pulse, or Assassin's Trophy. Assassin's Trophy would be pretty nice. However, they do have 2 worm coil engines. So we're in a lot of trouble here. It's really difficult for us with our 2 and 3 mana creatures and triple Fatal Push to try to fight through all the power that the Tron decks have, but I mean, that's why they've been the mid-range killer since the deck's inception. That being said, at turn 5, our opponent wasn't able to assemble Tron particularly quickly. I don't think they mulliganed. Yeah, they didn't mulligan, which I don't understand. I think you mulligan as aggressively as you can with Tron. Probably get rid of our Tarmogoyf. I mean, if they don't get rid of a Tarmogoyf, then we can just kill them. Oh, I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. If they don't get rid of one of our threats, then we can just kill them by attacking. If we dump the peat land in the graveyard to make this a 3/3. If they exile the Tireless Tracker, we can attack for 4. I would have gone with the Wormcoil Engine if I were them. Yeah, they get rid of the Tarmogoyf. Sure. What do we do here? Let's see what we draw, I guess. We do have 2 draws. Come on, Bob, give us something we need. Oh, boy. What are we going to do here? We're definitely attacking the Karn. If we had drawn a land, then we would have been able to kill them. We'll strike that. If we would have drawn anything that wasn't Blooming Marsh, Hissing Quagmire, Treetop Village, we would have been able to kill them. But since we can't, we're going to have to get rid of this Karn and prevent it from hitting us. Or hitting another one of our threats. Let's get down the Tarmogoyf and just hope for the best. What are the card types? Oh, yeah, right, we got the Karn. They still got double Wormcoil Engine, Ghost Quarter. That's pretty crappy. I don't know how we're going to get through these Wormcoil Engines. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 mana. If they had another Tron land, they could have played 2 Wormcoil Engines. 9? Oh, they got Ulamog. Right? Yep. Boy, oh boy. Ulamog's a tough one. We're probably dead. However, if we get Liliana, we are not dead. And we still have 2 draws. Inquisition Hex Drinker. That is not going to get it done. Good game, opponent. Alright, so against Tron, we have got Collector Oof, and we have got Fulminator Mage. Plague Engineer doesn't do anything. Collective Brutality really doesn't do anything. Liliana doesn't really do anything. Liliana's Triumph doesn't... Do we want it? I think we might. Let's see what we want to take out first. We want all the hand disruption. Fatal Push is pretty bad. Collective Brutality is pretty bad. Everything else seems pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully we can just get an early Collector Oof and shut off all of their eggs and expedition maps. Oh boy. Can we afford to keep a 1-lander with 3 hand disruptions and Dark Confidant? Let's just keep it and try it. I mean, we're not really worried about our life total, so we can get an Overgrown Tomb. You know, we got a bunch of Inquisition. If we draw a land next turn, we can hit them with 3 discard spells before their second turn, in which case I don't really think that a Tron deck can recover from that. Let's get our Overgrown Tomb. And hopefully we'll just draw land and we won't have any issues. Holy shit. Okay, well, that's probably the worst Tron keep I've ever seen. However, if they draw one of their Tron lands and we don't draw a second land, we're going to look like an idiot. In which case, that's probably what I deserve for keeping a 1 land, but yikes. What do we have here? So they're going to have a threat no matter what, so I'm going to take the Ancient Stirrings, although they can't cast it, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's dump that. Yeah, this is what I deserve for keeping a 1-lander on the play. If I was on the draw, that might have been a keepable hand, but I guess I just had high hopes. Ooh, there we go. Let's see. Can't take away a land, so we just gotta land this Dark Confidant. And hope that they don't draw their power plant or a way to find the power plant. Oh boy. Draw us a land. We might be able to get our way out of this. Do we play the Liliana or do we play an Inquisition? If they had anything they could have cast, they would have cast it. I think we just play the... Oh shit, we should have played the Field of Ruin. That's a total mistake. And I really regret that. We could have fielded one of their things and then hit them with the Inquisition. Yeah, we're just kind of misplaying quite a bit this game. So any losses that I accrue, I think I deserve. If I were them, I'd probably ditch the Karn. Wormcoil Engine is just, well, maybe not. Karn can get rid of Dark Confidant, and Liliana can't deal with it, so I would, yep. And as we predicted, there goes that Wormcoil Engine. If they draw a power plant, we're going to be in a world of hurt. What do you got, opponent? Nothing. Holy cow. Well, now we are more than happy to get down this Field of Ruin. So let's stop on their draw step. Let's go ahead and do our Liliana, dump this Blooming Marsh. Blooming Marsh obviously over the Overgrown Tomb. We're going to play Inquisition here. Because if we play the Dark Confidant, that forces us to Field of Ruin now. However, the Dark Confidant is going to represent a faster clock, which is really what we need. And again, if they had anything they could cast with the Inquisition, they would have done so. So I think we're going to Field of Ruin main phase and get down Dark Confidant. Or second phase. Let's get the tower, which is the non-redundant piece that they've got. Another reason, if you're curious, to play the Rock over Jund, aside from the fact that Wrenn and 6 is 100 tickets apiece right now, Field of Ruin makes a really big difference against against Tron, which is one of our worst matchups. Alright, so we're going to go to game 3 against Tron. Our opponent did a really poor job of... we got Collector Oof and a turn 1 threat. And we've got double black. We're keeping this. Collector Oof is just such a beating against Tron. However, having it on the draw might not be fast enough, but our opponents kind of demonstrated that they keep questionable hands. I mean, they had 3 Tron lands and 3 or 4 lands and 4 threats with no ability to find. Just get down our Hex Drinker right away. We're not going to be able to get the expedition map, which kind of sucks. So we might just get Tron'd out. But I'm kind of hoping that our opponent's decisions will protect us against that. Yeah, they're just going to have Tron. Although we do have Field of Ruin, so they got the Urza's Tower. I mean, Inquisition isn't going to get a threat. We know that they've got Urza's Tower. Let's go ahead and get Overgrown Tomb. It really doesn't matter. Plus, you want to fetch away your non-basics because they have Ghost Quarter. Let's play the Collector Oof. And then next turn we can Field of Ruin to cut them off of Tron. Field of Ruin and Inquisition, I guess. But I would just expect them to play a threat. Hopefully not Wormcoil Engine. Actually, we may be able to deal with the Wormcoil Engine. Or maybe it's a Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista is not bad. Oh, you know what? They can't activate the Walking Ballista because of Collector Oof. Oh, boy. Holy cow. Well, there you have it. Let's see. Holy cow. So our opponent not familiar with Collector Oof, clearly. Let's get rid of that. Let's get our Swamp. And hopefully they have something that we can Inquisition. Ooh, please have an Ancient Stirrings that we can take away. Holy cow. Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. Collector Oof took it down for us against the old Tron. So that's a tough matchup, and I'm really thankful to have won that one. So, let's see, I believe we played 6 matches, and we are 5-1 with the green-black rock right now. Now, granted, this is just tournament practice. We're not playing any competitive leagues right now. But even so, you know. Let's go ahead and keep this hand. We've got some hand disruption. We got a couple threats, a couple removal spells. I mean, that's pretty much what you want to have. I'm going to go ahead and lead with the Hissing Quagmire. We can either Scavenging Ooze if our opponent is not doing anything proactive, or we can removal spell like a Birds of Paradise or a Noble Hierarch and Inquisition them. Opponent thinking long and hard about the land that they want to play with. Misty Rainforest, an excellent choice. So, since they're not doing anything proactive right now, I'm going to go ahead and go for this Scavenging Ooze. Hopefully they don't have like a Temple Garden Mana Tithe or something like that. Steam Vents. Probably Lightning Bolt. So we got Misty Rainforest and Polluted Delta Steam Vents. Well, we're just going to jam this Liliana, I think. We got a second one in hand. I'm not going to fetch basics against a control deck. Generally, your life total is not in serious jeopardy. I'm assuming that... Oh, you know what? Maybe we should fetch basics in case they have Blood Moon. Off-color fetch lands is usually a pretty decent indicator. Oh boy, there we go. So I'm going to ditch the Fatal Push here. Well, I guess this Liliana is a little redundant, but if we lose it, I'd like to have another one. However, it may get countered. You know what? I'll ditch this Liliana. Realistically, we're not going to play it. We're less likely to play a second Liliana than we are our first Fatal Push. Lightning Bolt, the Liliana. Yikes. That feels pretty bad. So we've already got 2 cards off of our opponent with that. Narset. Narset is pretty good. You know, I'd really like to draw a land. Thoughtseize. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to go for the Maelstrom Pulse here because we want that Narset gone. So we'll ditch our Fatal Push. Then we will Maelstrom Pulse the Narset. Happy to get rid of Narset as soon as possible. Especially when our opponent's got a reactive deck and we've got a bunch of discard in hand. Teferi doesn't really bug us. Holy cow, we're just going to get to rip their hand to pieces here. So let's Inquisition. Let's take that Mana Leak. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize you. Let's get rid of that. They have 0 cards in hand, and we have Scavenging Ooze as our threat. Not the best threat that we could get, but hey, it's a lot better than nothing. Maybe it's important to note that I could have just left their other card alone and used the Liliana to ditch my own Thoughtseize. That would have saved me 2 life and saved me a mana. So next time I'll have to go for that instead. So a bit of a misplay there on my behalf. Cool. Let's see. If they have a removal spell for the Hissing Quagmire, well, they have Field of Ruin, so that doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get down our Scavenging Ooze then. Snapcaster would feel kind of crappy. Spell Snare. Okay. I'm a big fan of Spell Snare, so as much as it sucks to have our own spells spell snared, I'm happy to see more people playing with it in Modern. Shadow of Doubt. You know, it's kind of funny to see that. Not real great with Field of Ruin because you're also preventing yourself. But I used to play a blue-green Plow Under Primal Command deck that used Shadow of Doubt and Field of Ruin. It was pretty cool. Wait, what are we doing here? No, I want to discard. They probably have Snapcaster, maybe? Okay. Get rid of a timely reinforcements. That's kind of nice. I'm a pretty firm believer that Liliana is going to beat this Teferi. We're super far ahead in lands. I think I'm going to go ahead and fetch an Overgrown Tomb here. Inquisition. Well, I didn't want to spend the mana to do that, and we kind of learned our lesson, so let's just go ahead and Liliana. Snapcaster Mage. So if we had led with the Inquisition, then they would have been forced to play it. And then they probably would have bolted the Liliana. They have another bolt? They do. So if we had done that, that would have prevented them from... Let's see. Let me think here. So if I had chosen to go with the Inquisition first, they would have played the Snapcaster, getting Bolt, bringing Liliana down to 3. Then I could have hit the Snapcaster with the Edict. Now they can use their Teferi. Yikes. That was a bad play on my part. I'm going to have to think a little bit more than that. It would have achieved basically the same result. However, so here they're going to get to Snap Bolt our guy. Well, I guess that depends on how much they... Oh, Supreme Verdict. Treetop Village is pretty nice against Teferi. So here they're priced into getting rid of the Liliana, and we'll be able to kill their Teferi with the Treetop Village, depending on what they draw. I haven't seen a lot of Snapcasters in Modern recently. It's kind of a crime. The card is just so powerful. I don't know why more people don't want to play with it. They do have 0 cards in hand, so we are going to get to kill this Teferi. Treetop Village is a great card against these control decks. I think I'm going to hold this Fatal Push in the event that they have like a Celestial Colonnade. We don't have any Field of Ruins, so... Although they do have Bolt Snap, so maybe it's wise to fire this Fatal Push off now. Let's just do that. Maybe they have a land. Hopefully we can get them to spend a removal spell on this Treetop Village. The Stark Confidant is going to be really key in helping us rebuild from this. So it's kind of hope and pray that they don't have an answer. If they have Cryptic, I'm going to probably puke. What do they got? It's another Snapcaster, maybe? Nope. What is this? Sphinx's Revelation, maybe? Hieroglyphic Illumination. Okay, that's pretty good. So they're going to go back up to 3 cards. So 3 cards is a lot of cards. Certainly, probably Lightning Helix of Bob, yep. It's okay, we still got this Treetop Village. They got to find an answer to that eventually. Treetop Village is just great. It gives us something to do with our mana every turn. It's very cheap as far as the man lands go. Hits pretty hard. It's got trample. You know, if they spend a removal spell on a land when we have 100 lands in play, that feels pretty good. Let's see here. How's everybody doing tonight? Haven't done a whole lot of interacting with the chat, so it'd be nice to hear from everybody and know why everyone is choosing to watch somebody play some online video games at this hour of the morning. Wonder why they choose to fetch there. There's that colonnade, so this is why we keep... Oh boy. So we can play the Hex Drinker. Maybe just level it up all the way. Well, there we go. Protection from instants. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and get a swamp and attack with this here Treetop Village. Because if they don't have an answer to this Hex Drinker, then they're going to be at a very precarious life total. They need like a supreme verdict. Detention Sphere will work as well. But we got plenty of answers to Detention Sphere. They gonna attack with the Colonnade. Ooh, hoo hoo hoo. So here we get to animate the Treetop Village, attack with it. When they go to animate their Celestial Colonnade, we can Fatal Push it. I mean, I assume that's why they shocked their land. And then we get to hit them with the Tarmogoyf. And I believe that is game. Wow. So Treetop Village there did a total of 18 damage. Holy crap. Okay, so some considerations here. Collective Brutality can get away a pretty key spell. Liliana can knock away things like Snapcaster Mage. It can kill Vendilion Clicks, and obviously we can just recur our creatures with it. Not interested in Liliana's Triumph or Plague Engineers. Please don't ever bring in a Grafdigger's Cage against Snapcaster decks. It's terrible. Fulminator Mages are really nice. So that's my main consideration there. So what are some of the things that we don't like? I kind of like everything that we have. We are going to be on the draw, so Liliana's not going to be as good. Hand Disruption on the draw is not as good. You can treat control mirror, or not control mirrors, control sideboard strategies very similarly to midrange, where you're going to prioritize having lots of threats. On the draw, Hand Disruption just not as good. We can probably trim down a little bit on the Fatal Pushes. However, I like them because they can kill Manlands and Snapcaster, but I don't think that's going to be our primary objective here. So I will cut one Fatal Push. I'm not a huge fan of Nile Spellbomb. It just seems marginal. I'd rather have threats. And this way we get to keep in, some answers to Snapcaster and their Celestial Colonnade as well. Okay, we have a ton of threats, and we are on the draw. One thing that does differentiate... Man, we just have a bunch of threats. If we get behind, though, we're in trouble, but I think I'm going to keep this. One thing I'd like to point out that is a pretty distinct difference between my sideboard plans for mid-range versus control mirrors with this deck. Yeah, just look at that. Never didn't have it. And again, since we're against a control deck that has showed us Field of Ruin and Path to Exile, we're going to prioritize fetching the Shocklands here. However, they do have Snap, you know, Lightning Helix. Let's see. I'm going to take the Spell Snare here. We don't want them to counter a Tarmogoyf for 1 mana. On the draw and mid-range mirrors, I will cut a land. And I'm unwilling to cut lands in control decks. You have to have all your lands. And check this out. So we are going to get to play a Blooming Marsh and a Tarmogoyf that is outside of Lightning Helix range. So if they want to get rid of this, they're going to have no choice but to use the path, which they elected not to do. We're just going to go right for the attack here. There's the path. We are going to use the ability. Here we're going to go ahead and get a swamp. So then we're going to go here. And let's get this overgrown tomb. It's possible that we're being a little too loose with our life total, but I really don't want to get rid of my basics. We don't have anything that we really want to discard with the Liliana, so I want to get the Fulminator Mage and take out their lands. And I think I'll go ahead and do this now. That way they have less to do with their mana. Maybe they'll Lightning Bolt me. Or Lightning Helix me. So if they pay 2 life, they're really only gaining 1 to deal 3. That's not a great exchange. But they are down to 2 cards, so this Liliana is going to make a really big impact. Although maybe getting the threat down would be nicer. If they have a removal spell, then the Collective Brutality is going to be bad. So I'd rather save the Assassin's Trophy or Abrupt Decay. So they probably don't have a removal spell. Nice. So there you go, Fulminator Mage, taking it down against the old Jeskai control. So we've had some pretty serious success here against some tough matchups. Tron, real tough matchup. Control decks, real tough matchup, but you know, I think we made some good decisions there that led to those victories. So let's keep playing here. And we get to be on the play, which gotta love that. That definitely helps a lot, especially with the 7 pieces of hand disruption that we've got. So here we get to lead with our Treetop Village. We got all of our colors. We got a Field of Ruin, and we've got 2 removal spells. So 2 threats, 3 lands, removal spell, all of our colors. Tough to beat that. Hopefully our opponent will play a fetch land. Aether Vial Island, so we're either playing against humans or playing against merfolk. So I think I'll get my threat down. Tarmogoyf, while a 0/1 may not seem great to run out right away, you might be tempted to hold up the Abrupt Decay or the Fatal Push, but I'd rather be proactive when I'm on the play. You know, if I have a Tarmogoyf on turn 2 on the play, I'd rather not squander that. Double Island kind of lets us know that we're playing against some merfolk here. And I'm going to go ahead and play this Liliana. So the Silver Gill Adept did draw them a card. This will help us play around the Curse Catcher. They may want to sacrifice like a Curse Catcher instead. And since we have some additional removal spells and another Tarmogoyf, I'm going to choose not to attack with the Tarmogoyf there. I'm not going to block in the event that they have a Lord. And if they have a Lord, we just have 2 removal spells next turn. So if they want to attack our Liliana, I'm okay with that. I don't really have anything I want to discard. And Merfolk can struggle to deal with a Tarmogoyf, so this will incidentally grow our Tarmogoyf. Here I think we're just going to go ahead and attack with the Tarmogoyf. I prefer to use my mana as efficiently as possible, and no sense in getting rid of something that's tapped. So we're going to play our other Tarmogoyf, and then we've got an Abrupt Decay or a Fatal Push, whichever one we see fit to use. Hopefully we get to take advantage of this Field of Ruin at some point. It'd be nice to nail a Mutavault. So, Field of Ruin not great against Oboro. So our opponent kind of demonstrating that they don't have a Lord, and they're on the back foot yet again. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and attack with everything. I have 2 removal spells here. Now I'm going to play my Quagmire. Still got a bunch of removal spells. Tough luck for our opponent. I mean, for them to just leave the Aether Vial on 2, have no Lords, and not cast any spells, I mean, I don't really understand what's going on. Maybe they just have a million lands. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just Fatal Push this. Grows our Tarmogoyfs, gets one less, makes us worry about one less blocker. Some of you may be tempted to either Abrupt Decay or Maelstrom Pulse the Aether Vial, but they clearly haven't made good use of it so far, so I'm perfectly fine with leaving that be. They have to show me that it's doing something before I'm concerned about destroying it. Rather leave up the Abrupt Decay. Merfolk Trickster. Okay. Tap a Tarmogoyf. Okay. Anything else? Another Merfolk Trickster. That's fine. They'll probably double block the Treetop Village here. In which case I'll happily Abrupt Decay a Merfolk Trickster. If they don't do that, then I'm going to Maelstrom Pulse it. Okay. And let's go ahead and Abrupt Decay. Please do note that they cannot prevent us from using the Abrupt Decay, so I'm going to get a point of damage, And a nice 2-for-1 out of this Abrupt Decay. And we still got a Maelstrom Pulse. It's too bad our Maelstrom Pulse can't hit islands. I wouldn't mind killing 4 islands with a Maelstrom Pulse. A bit of a story about Maelstrom Pulse. A couple of days ago, I was playing this, and I ended up playing against a Jund opponent, and he was attempting to attack me for lethal with his Tarmogoyf. I had a Tarmogoyf up as a blocker, and he was unable to get through it. So in order to get through that Tarmogoyf, he Maelstrom Pulsed mine. Well, what he didn't realize is Maelstrom Pulse destroys all other permanents with the same name. So he ended up killing his own Tarmogoyf, and I was able to kill him with a Scavenging Ooze. So kind of a funny story there. Let's see. I am going to animate this treetop village and leave up the Field of Ruin to kill a Mutavault. I'm not going to do that yet, though. I'd rather see them invest the mana. And I might want a Maelstrom Pulse for some reason. And here I do not have to. Man, our opponent's just not doing much here. It kind of feels bad to win matches because your opponent is flooding. But, you know, we can't control whether or not they flood. We can only... Spreading Seas, my treetop village. Little late for that. I think we'll Field of Ruin their Mutavault in step, just to take away an additional blocker. And to ensure that we can attack with both the, both the Tarmogoyfs and the Quagmire. So you usually won't see me Field of Ruin end step, but they already have clearly all the mana that they can use. And I want to make sure that we're getting through for lethal this turn. Let's get a forest. Can never have too many forests. Another Field of Ruin. Okay. There we go. Cool, so we got game 1 against Merfolk. Against Merfolk, guess what? They've got X1s, so we want Liliana. They are a tribal deck, so we definitely want our Plague Engineer. Let's see, Collective Brutality seems like a decent removal spell against them. Fulminator Mage doesn't do much. Let's see here. Triumph is another great removal spell. So this is everything that we're thinking about. Against Aether Vial, not a big fan of hand disruption. I probably am going to cut a Field of Ruin in this because we don't want to flood. And Field of Ruin is obviously our worst land. Where's our Urborg? Okay, we still got the Urborg. Dark Confidant, you know, we're kind of playing with our life total a little bit, so I'm happy to cut one of those on the draw. And we're already seeing an extra card anyways. Scavenging Ooze is pretty nice. Get to pad our life total out a little bit. So that's 3 cards. We're looking for 4 more. You'll see me go for these Thought Seizes pretty often. God. Do we maybe want to leave a land in? Maybe leave this Dark Confidant in? I think it's kind of a bad habit just immediately go for the taking all the hand disruption out. I think we can cut a Field of Ruin, which is fine. I think we can cut a Dark Confidant, so maybe we leave in a couple Inquisition. We really don't have much else to take out. Nile Spellbomb doesn't do anything. Fulminator Mage doesn't really do anything. I don't know. I always kind of want to take out the hand disruption, but You know, whenever I leave a couple copies in and then start off with hand disruption in my opening hand and get something really key on the draw, you know, kind of makes you think, why did I ever do that in the first place? But, you know, doesn't hurt to look at it from different perspectives. All right, opponent. Tough decision deciding whether or not you want to play first. Given that we are playing a constructed format, I am going to say that you want to play first. If we add the additional information there on top of that, that you are in fact an aggro deck with Aether Vial, it's going to be one more point in favor of the on the play. What are some other advantages of being on the play? Oh, you get to be a land ahead of your opponent in most cases, so I like that one. There we go. There's that hand disruption that we were wanting. So we've got 2 removal spells, 2 threats. What a great hand. So if our opponent Aether Vials, we're going to Inquisition. If they do nothing, we're going to Inquisition. Jesus. We've got 3 lands. We've got hand disruption. We've got removal spells. We've got threats. We got Bob. We got just about everything that you could ever want. Jeez. We're going to take the Lord of Atlantis in case we draw Maelstrom Pulse. Let's see, they've got a creature. We are going to go ahead and play the Tarmogoyf. Or do we just Assassin's Trophy them? No, we probably want to use the Fatal Push first. In that case, I should have played the Overgrown Tomb. You know what? Let's just play the Tarmogoyf. You know, we're going to get some instants in the graveyard, and then it's going to be much better at trading with our opponent's creatures. Aether Vial into Master of the Pearl Trident, I assume. Yep. That is fine with me. We could kill both of our opponent's creatures. Oh my god, Maelstrom Pulse, living the Maelstrom Pulse dream. I'll take my 2-for-1s where I can. And remember when we took Lord of Atlantis with our Inquisition because we said, hey, what if we draw Maelstrom Pulse and we can hit both of those Master of the Pearl Tridents? Guess what? You just witnessed that scenario. So for anybody out there that thinks that marginal decisions are not important to pay attention to because they are so marginal, well, you're probably right, but there's a nice little case study in why it's important to pay attention to marginal decisions. So funny enough with Plague Engineer, no matter what you name, you will 100% of the time reduce the power of Mutavault by, or the power toughness of Mutavault by 1. Kind of want to Plague Engineer here, and then hold up Fatal Push. I probably should have played the Plague Engineer first. And we are going to name Merfolk, which is pretty good against their X1s. They're not playing too many of them, but they do have a couple of them. I believe Benthic Biomancer is one of them. Silvergill Adept is one of them. So it's kind of nice to leave cards stranded in our opponent's hand. Not only that, but a 2-2 with Death Touch trades pretty well. Yep, there we go. There's the match. So there we go. Taking it down against the old Merfolk. So, again, we saw this when we were playing against Slivers. When that Plague Engineer comes down against a tribal deck, I mean, it just kills your opponent. Yes, there are a lot of tribal decks that don't have a lot of X1s, but they don't make a lot of appearances in Modern because Modern really, really, really demands efficiency out of your creatures. Like, you know, zombies right now. We're mostly seeing that out of the Hogak deck with Stitcher Supplier, Gravecrawler. I think Bloodghast a Vampire Spirit, so that doesn't count. Give me 1 second. I'm hearing some weird shit coming from my kitchen, guys. All right, thank you for your patience. I thought for a second maybe I had a cat kicking over some dishes, and I remembered that we don't have any cats. So for the first time in a while, it looks like we're not on the play. But that's okay. It's a little slow, but we get to play a tapped land. We've got some removal and some disruptive elements here with Liliana. And our opponent's playing a tapped land as well, so I don't feel too bad. Sweet Tarmogoyf. We have been rewarded. My favorite expression as it pertains to that, just hoping that you'll draw out of it, is never didn't have it. I'm going to like to play a fetch land here so I can get Tarmogoyf up to a reasonable amount. Because of the presence of Urborg, I am going to fetch a forest. So, you see the Liliana in hand, and you may say to yourself, "Now, Luke, why is it that you would fetch a forest?" Well, the answer, my friends, is Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. So we lose the bolt there, but that's okay. If our opponent plays a creature, we can nab that with the Liliana. Or if they play nothing, we can play the Liliana anyway. Unfortunately, we do draw the Blooming Marsh, but because our plan is to play Liliana, we're priced into going for the Urborg. And we are going to ditch the Blooming Marsh because of that, so it's almost like we didn't draw it. See what our opponent discards. Wow, they just did not want to deal with the Liliana. I don't blame them. Liliana can be really terrifying when you can't draw your lands. So we got 2 Stomping Grounds, 2 green fetch lands, and a Lightning Bolt. So let's bring this back over here. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the Dark Confidant Liliana right away. Let's cut a Field of Ruin. Lightning Bolt Stomping Ground tells me like an aggro deck. Possibly Naya Zoo. Although our opponent didn't have any 1-drops, so it makes me wonder if they're on a God, what's it called? Ponza list. Red-green Ponza. It's tough to say. Given that we don't know a whole lot about our opponent's hand here, it might be difficult to make a mulligan, or not a mulligan, a sideboarding decision. Fulminator Mage. Fulminator Mage is actually something that I've been bringing in quite a bit. On the draw, Thought Seizes are not as good. If they have Lightning Bolt, Stomping Ground, Windswept Heath, I'm kind of concerned about my life total. So Thought Seize might be something I remove entirely. We got room for one more. You know, let's bring in the Collective Brutality. If it's like a Naya red-green burn deck, then we'll be happy to have it. If it's a zoo deck, we'll be happy to have the extra removal spell. This hand seems pretty good. Get to lead off with a Verdant Catacombs and potentially Fatal Push something. We got two 2-mana threats, and we got some 3-mana threats, so can either, I guess, get an Overgrown Tomb tapped if we don't need the Fatal Push, and get a Swamp if we do. So we're going to keep it. Looks like a pretty good hand. Windswept Teeth, go. Just don't get it, man. Let's see what we get here. Maybe they just bolt our face. Get Stomping Ground, Lightning Bolt you. Pay that life. Oh, maybe not. They gotta have something. So they have Mountain. Man, they're just not doing much. Let's get our tune. Oh, Blooming Marsh. I think I'm gonna play the Ooze first. I think I'm okay if the Ooze gets Lightning Bolted, because then that'll put the Tarmogoyf out of Lightning Bolt range. Opponent seems to be struggling a little bit with their land base. If they miss their land drop, I am going to Fulminator the Stomping Ground. What do we got here? Maybe they have Stone Rain. Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay. Discard, what is that? Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. So what do I want to go for? I think I'm just going to attack with the Scavenging Ooze. We have no reason to believe that Fulminator is going to be super effective here. So I think I'm going to play Forest and play my Tarmogoyf. So we can either eat a creature or Fatal Push one of theirs. If they kill one of our guys, we can Fatal Push their Season Pyromancer, but that's not real good. They've just drawn 2 new cards, so I can imagine they probably will hit their land drops. Tyler's Tracker is pretty good. Yikes. So it looks like just a red-green mid-range deck. Wonder if they're splashing white for anything. They are. So they got a Naya mid-range deck. Perhaps we'll see a Path to Exile here. What? Arbor Elf? Okay. They don't really have good attacks. Oh shit. I wanted to use my mana there. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to Fulminator. We are going to kill their only white source. We're going to Fatal Push the Tireless Tracker. We are going to attack with 4/5 Armor Wife. So not only are we preventing them from getting rid of the Seasoned Pyro while we can't remove it from the graveyard with the Scavenging Ooze, cutting them back a land, and we had the opportunity to kill the Tireless Tracker before it got out of control, because we want our Tireless Tracker to get out of control. Not only that, but next turn, let's see, won't have quite enough to use the clue tokens to Revolt Fatal Push, but we will ensure that we have a clue token to use for a Revolted Fatal Push later on. So what are some things that we are worried about? I'm worried about them killing the Scavenging Ooze before we have an opportunity to really get rid of a bunch of shit with it. And for that reason, we're not going to be activating Scavenging Ooze unless we know for a fact that we have an extra 2 to get it out of bolt range. Ooh, Hunt Master of Fells. Hunt Master of the Fells is pretty nasty. However, we are... Ooh, boy. That one is rough. Let's keep attacking with everything. They don't have any good trades for us. And the more clue tokens we can get rid of, the better our Liliana... Or, excuse me, the more tokens we can get rid of, the better our Liliana is going to be. They do have more cards in hand, and they do have more clue tokens. I'd like to note that now is going to be the perfect time to get rid of their stuff so that we can get this Scavenging Ooze out of Lightning Bolt range. Not only that, but we get to get some more damage in. So, are they going to let this thing transform to Ravager of the Fells? I don't think they can really afford for that to be their game plan. Because they're not going to kill anything. Well, maybe they are going to do it. Maybe they're just... They are also pretty constrained on land. So it's possible that they are okay with transforming this, even though it doesn't kill anything. If we draw land, we're going to revolt this without a doubt, because I'd really like to kill that. Oh, they get to kill our Tireless Tracker. Oh, no, they don't, because we have a clue token. So, we're probably not going to play the Liliana. However, when they try to kill our Tireless Tracker... What? Are there any instants in the graveyard? There are. What do we got here? We've got a swamp, which is kind of nice. Kind of just want to kill this right away so that we have better attacks. Let's use Verdant Catacombs here. Yikes. Well, we got him pretty good there. Man, the pain train continues with green green-black rock. I believe we are either 7, 8, or 9-1. I think it's 8-1 right now. I believe the Jeskai deck was the 8th match, this one being the 9th. 9 mid-range. Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me here. I hope you all enjoyed the green-black rock content. Let's take another look at this deck list real quick. That's not going in the main deck. That goes here. So, some quick thoughts. Green-black mid-range seems really strong right now. Although we didn't play against very many meta decks, I think you'll always find that in Modern, if you're ever looking to get into Modern or just want to play something that feels very skill rewarding and interactive, I definitely pick up the rock. It just tends to, the individual power that each of the cards have in this deck is very high, so it tends to punish some of the decks that aren't, tier 1 or 2. And obviously we saw ourselves beating some tier 1 decks there with Tron and a blue-white control variant in Jeskai. So, thought it was good. Beat some difficult matchups. Really enjoyed the cards that we played with. So, thanks again for joining me, and have a great night.